started. Okay, so welcome back. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about YouTube. So, but in a sense of not watching YouTube, because we'd actually be watching on YouTube and also just using as a way to study English. But we're actually going to move behind the scene. We're actually going to look at how we can actually create a YouTube channel. So this PowerPoint is going to be basically like the foundation of how to build your own YouTube channel. Okay. So moving on, I'm going to talk about the next slide. So when you get started, we're going to go over some basic information. So most of the people we know, like around our area, especially in Taiwan, right? A lot of us already have exposure to YouTube, but we are an audience, right? So we actually use YouTube as a way to gather information, as a way of entertainment. But today we're going to actually go behind the scene. We're going to see how we can actually be our YouTuber ourselves. So the index is basically, we're going to break it down into 4 different sections. So number 1 is the software, and we're going to talk about the hardware. And then we're also going to talk about the cost, because a lot of times when you think about entering into an industry or a new business, there's a lot of cost associated with it. So my job is when I go and decided to launch my own YouTube channel, when I did a lot of research, the number 1 goal I had in mind is how to keep costs down as low as possible. So at the end of it, I'm actually going to share with you my costs so far that I have spent on making a YouTube channel, because technically I already launched my YouTube channel. I have already uploaded a couple of videos already. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then the last of it, the end of it, we're going to talk about what is the revenue stream that's included in the making the YouTube channel. Okay. So we're going to get started. Now, when you get started on the YouTube, there's some very basic fundamental information. So number 1 is, of course, you have to set up a YouTube account. Okay. And the YouTube is actually linked with your Google. So let's say if you're already watching the YouTube, you already have an account already. But this account that you're using right now, it's like your own. So the background with YouTube is actually interesting. So the name YouTube, it actually means you. Tube means TV. So in essence, it means your own TV. So you're creating your own TV channels, right? Because you're subscribing to all these different content creators. And in essence, you're building your own TV. You're selecting which channel to watch, which content creator to support, and which topic to talk about. So that's actually the backstory of YouTube. Now, the nice thing is everything's linked to your Google account. So link to that Gmail that you have already. Now, we're going to actually flip it into an actual content creator. So there's a step associated with that, which I'll go over later. Number 1 is, of course, you have to download the YouTube app already. Pretty sure you already have that already. Now, when you look at this, everybody or most people have it already. So the next thing is, if you break it down, the traditional, like say you're watching a movie or watching a YouTube, there's really 3 big people in this team or organization. So usually there's the content creator itself, right? Or the OA basically is the director, the person that decides what's going to be filmed, how we're going to film it, and things like that. And then there's the cameraman. So basically, this is a person that's controlling the camera. They're shooting the shots, right? They're taking the picture, they're taking the videos and all that stuff. And the last step is the video editor. So this is the person taking all the information from the directors, from the cameramans, and all these other information, and they edit and make it into a movie that's presentable for the audience. So these are the three components, right? But when you first get started, it's very overwhelming because you're technically there's three people, but when you first started, a lot of times you actually had to do all three by yourself. So you're like, how do we make that happen? So I actually did a lot of research in breaking it down and simplify it to a point that you can technically do all three yourself. Is it going to be as perfect as you watching a movie? Of course not. But it's actually good enough to a point that you can actually very efficiently, creatively, actually still be able to create a video, upload it, and get audience. So that is actually the main point because you want the subscribers. So, who's your target audience? So this is actually, it's like the number one question we ask. So, remember way back then on the first lesson we had, and we had to do the SWOT analysis, your strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. Mina? Yeah. So this actually will play a point to it. So whenever you are doing something, you always want to show what your strength is, right? So that's the one area you're actually strong in. So Mina, for yourself, the one thing you should showcase to your audience is actually the success of your business, launching your business, and also the story about you. So all this could be what is drawing your audience in, because you already have a product, a plush doll that you already sold out for the first version, and you have a group of VIP clients that you're working with already. So this is the way for your audience and your customers to get a deeper look of who you are as a creator and the story behind your business. So that is something to think about as your target audience. And the other thing is, once you launch a YouTube channel, you will be able to share your story to a broader audience, right? Because your friends and family, what they're gonna do, or people who believe in your story, they're gonna share your videos or your YouTube channel, and that's gonna be spreading, advertising your channel per se. So, so it's important to look back on the first session when we talk about the SWOT analysis and some of the skill set and hobby that you have. Of course, one is your English skill, your Chinese, as well as your hobby, which is making art and drawings, right? So these are all skill set you can actually showcase and teach other people. Okay. The last one is equipment check, because a couple lessons before we talk about when we talk about what is it, Money 101, basically talking about financial freedom, the path of financial freedom, and it's basically looking at what you already have, not expending more money per se, but look at what you have and are you able to repurpose this? Are you able to reuse it? So one of the homework that I'm gonna have you do is to do a checklist of what the software you already have against what I'm recommending. Okay, because some of the software you might already have it. So if that's the case, you don't have to spend extra money to buy the extra software or the hardware. The same thing with your technology equipment, right? Because you might already have an iPad, you already have a phone. If that's the case, then you don't need to spend extra money on purchasing other equipment. Okay, but do a checklist and then just send it to me so I know what we're working with. Okay. All right. So that's your homework. Now, we're gonna break it down. So there's two components. There's the software. and then there's the hardware. Because all my equipment I'm using is Apple. It's from Apple. I'm gonna use under the Mac, but some of these are able to translate. Let's say you can even use it under what is it, the Google one or the other phones as well. So if you're able to use or search the app, it's available. You can still use it. So some of them you might already have it already. So I'm gonna just go down the list. YouTube, you already have that already, right? So the next one is called YouTube Studio. So let me explain it. So if you think about it, YouTube is the customer facing, right? So you use this to be able to research and find the video clip you want to watch. YouTube Studio is the behind the scenes, right? Because you're the content creator, so you are creating the content. So whatever you're in the back end trying to edit or add information to your YouTube, that is your studio. So using that studio to do the editing part, okay? So it's a separate app that you can download. It's free, okay? So if you don't have it, that's something you want to check while you want to use it. Now for the video edit, there's two, okay? When I first started, I want to do something that's actually free just to test my skill, because I have like no exposure to video editing before this. Actually worked in banking for 10 plus years before this. So totally different field. But I wanted to showcase that if I can do it, you can do it too. And I wanted to share that experience with you. So when I did my research, there is an app called iMovie. This is actually already included. So if you already have an iPhone or an iPad or a MacBook,
like it's already in there.
It's already in there. It's already in there. So the interesting part is and now what I'll do is I'll send you the Excel file. I think I already emailed to you, but we'll go over that if we have time. So that is the actual detail of everything. So the iMovies, the thing is always go with the app first. Because I actually before I tried to do the video editing on my MacBook, but it's so much more complicated. I was like stuck on there for like a couple weeks. And then what I find out, and then like my dad was trying to point out to me, says, why don't you try the app? And when I tried the app, it was way easier. And then there's a YouTube I can show you, but basically on your iPhone or with your iPad, when you use the iMovie app, there is a magic movie. There's an option for a magic movie. So you can upload all the clip that you already recorded. You click on that magic movie. They will automatically edit the video for you. So you can actually edit the video with less than 5 minutes. Okay. Now, so for somebody who's brand new and you want to be able to post something quickly, that is my number one recommendation. Just do that one, okay? Because it's very, very simple. Upload all the stuff that you wanted to upload into that. So maybe like 5 or 10 different clips up onto the iMovie. And you click magic movie, which is I think on the top, bottom middle or bottom left hand side. You click on that, and they'll automatically edit for you. And then you can actually upload to YouTube or Instagram, that kind of stuff. Now, on the Excel, I actually break it down. The reason why I didn't continue to do the iMovie, there was a couple negative things associated with it. So number one was because it's a free software, it's meant to be like basic, very basic. So when you try to add multiple layer of information, so let's say multiple different clips on top of each other, or adding another music or text message, the software cannot handle everything at one time and it freezes. That's number one. Yeah, so it's free. So then and when you're a professional and you're trying to get your information out there as soon as possible, to me, that was not okay. So it was a good for like testing and to get your content out there fast. But the negative thing is it frees. Number two, the biggest problem I had was actually the background music. So that's called the BGM. So when you watch a video tip, sometimes they add music, right? So instead of people talking, you have music, background music. Um, because of license and copyrights, iMovie has very, very little option. Very, very little. That I'm gonna stress on that. Very, very little. There's none. So unless you are gonna do like real life where you're just recording somebody talking, without adding the background music, which to me music is like a very important part of a YouTube channel, I decided that's not. I cannot just use. I need something else. So what I did is I move on. I do a lot of research. I look at Luma Fusions. I look at Da Vinci. So there was a whole bunch of video edit, and to me it was way too complicated. Because remember, I come from banking. That's all I know for the last 10, 20 years. So YouTube is something I am a user, but I never have done anything associated with this before. So this is brand new. So after a couple weeks, and I was actually really stressed out because I couldn't find anything that's what I needed. I was watching, I think, Xiaohongshu or YouTube, and there was a guy that recommended Filmora because this was actually not on anybody's radar, so it was not recommended anywhere else. So I decided to give it a shot because a lot of them I actually download the app and actually test it, and then I just said it's not me. I cannot work with this. Final Cut was one of them too. I tried that. I didn't like it. So I ended up downloading Filmora. And I have to say it was like a night and day. So after I download it and I use the app, I can literally cut the video. Like I think the first one I cut was like less than 1 hour. So if you Google it, the average time to edit a video, they say it's about 7 to 8 hours per clip. And then if you have to pay somebody to do it, sometimes case by case, but it's at least $20, like per hour, or something like that. So if you times that, that's actually a lot of money. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I decided I have to learn this skill no matter what, because I need to know how to do this. And then last of it is PowerPoint, which you already know how to do already. And then we're actually going to have an additional session just on PowerPoint because Leon wanted to talk about PowerPoint. So I'm going to have another session where we're going to just talk a little bit more about PowerPoint and just the actual feature I use for PowerPoint. There's actually 10 I use. So if you know this 10, you should have enough skill to do your own PowerPoint, hopefully. So we'll talk about it in the next class. So basically, that's the app that you need to make sure you have. Now, what I recommend you do is after today's class, try out iMovie for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. I don't want you to spend too much time on it because we talk about it. The concept is about the same. I would say if you can, go straight with Filmora. Go straight with Filmora and just download it. Because if you waste too much time on iMovie, unfortunately, it is a waste of time.
Actually, I tried iMovie once. It's really hard to use.
It's really hard to use. I didn't like it also. Try a Filmora because I think there's a one you can cancel within 30 days. But after I download it and I cut one clip, that was enough. I was like, I'm sold. It's so basic. I can cut the video that I upload now. It takes me about 10 minutes to cut. So It's so easy. What I'm gonna do like the next session is I'm gonna break it down step by step. So if you just follow the SOP, the standard operating procedure, you will know how to
Mhm.
cut it. It's very easy.
Mhm.
Okay. Now
Okay.
the research, you probably know all these already. So you
Mhm.
know about Google's, and you know about the news sources. You know about the YouTube, which we talk about that. Microsoft
Mhm.
Designer, we talked about briefly last session. Did you get a chance to test it, the Microsoft Designer? It's just very similar to Canvas.
Hmm.
Oh, Microsoft Designer.
有是
Okay,
no.
not
Yeah,
yet, right?
I did try that.
Okay. So this one is very creative because I use it for my company logo. And also if I'm uploading something for Instagram, I use that. So in essence, it kind of replaced the marketing branding department. I'm going to
Mhm.
talk about that later because I actually create another session for you about the company
Mhm.
structure. So we'll talk about that. The other
Mhm.
one is Apple one. Have you heard about this? Apple one.
No.
Okay. So Apple subscription wise, there's different segments or different pricing. So Apple one is basically the one that's most expensive in the US dollars. In US, it's about $30 per month. But the
Mhm.
reason I subscribe it was because it makes a different thing. One is it comes with iCloud, so additional storage because you need storage to store your content. The videos are large.
Mhm.
And then second
Mhm.
is the news article because I read a lot of news and I need to gather information. So
Mhm.
it comes with Apple News, which I go there to gather the information, and of course it also comes with the music because I use that also. So that was kind of the reason behind it. This one is recommended, but you don't have to have it. Okay,
Mhm.
because you
Okay.
can technically get away with it. But I would say really highly recommend. I almost require you to have Filmora because that will make
Okay.
your life so much easier. Okay, so moving on.
Mhm.
Now we have the hardware. So again, the research and planning, I just kind of just added to there, just simplify the same thing. So you're going to use
Mhm.
Google News, YouTube, Instagram, other books, or Excel and PowerPoint, right? So this is all your
Mhm.
research planning that you do to gather
Yep.
information. Now, the actual filming, basic, very basic, is your phone.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, when I talked to your mom, is basically I decided when I did the research on equipment I wanted all Apple. There was a reason
Mhm.
behind it. The reason was because the software, so let's say if I create a content on the iPhone, it's very easily to transfer to the iPad and also to the MacBook. So that was the
Mhm.
reason I choose it. It's more expensive, but I decided that it was worth it. The other reason why I go with that is I had other computers before by other brands, but they break down. So another
Mhm.
process previous one we talked about how um, we're trying to go green, save the environment and that kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
my theory behind is yes, I can buy something cheaper that will work. However, it might go bad in 1 or 2 years and have to replace it. So if I have to
Mm.
replace it, the old material, the old equipment, that is actually going to be added to the waste.
Mhm.
So I had to make a strict the decision, the hard decision, and like the pros and cons. And I decided I
Mhm.
want to basically all cross. I'm gonna stick with Apple. Okay. So that was
Okay.
my. So it's not a requirement, but technically you can use your existing phone that you have, and but just need for the edit, I would recommend to have a tablet or an iPad. Okay, because I think
Mhm.
the Filmora actually works for both Apple and actually non-Apple computers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it works. So that's kind of where we're at.
Mhm.
I'm gonna move on. Okay. So I'm going to be very honest. So this is actually the actual breakdown of how much I spend. So I'm going to be very honest. So technically speaking, I have the iPhone 13 Pro. So I don't have the newest iPhone because a lot of people say, "Oh, I have to get the newest equipment." But to me, is as the way it works, you really don't have to have the newest version of everything because usually that's the most expensive. And this one for my business, this is actually something I already bought last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I just launched my business May of this year. So this is something, if I have to count it for my business, this is actually zero because I technically didn't spend it this year. It's something I already have, but pricing when I bought it was $1,000. Okay. Now the iPad Air I did actually get this year. So this is actually something I did buy, but I wanted to throw it on there. The reason why is I had an older version of an iPad. However, because it's so old, it doesn't allow me to do video editing. It's the same thing. It's too much for the computer to handle. So I decided I needed to get an iPad, but I want the Air, which is actually lighter. So what I did is actually I went to Best Buy and then I actually looked at a refurbished iPad. So meaning somebody returned that. So it's not a brand new one. I got it as a refurbished item. So that's why if you research it, $300 is actually really cheap. For the iPad Air. It's actually really cheap. That's not a normal price. And then you look at the app that I have. I have Filmora, which is the $59.99. I have the Apple one, which is $32.95. But again, this is kind of that gray area because Apple One technically I use it for personal, but I also use it for business. So if you would you say it's like 100% business? Yes and no, because I also use it for personal as well. So to be realistic, out of pocket, I would say actual charge I would say it's about $400 this year. That's the breakdown. The reason I bring this back because you see a lot of YouTuber when you research it, they spend a lot of money on their equipment. They spend a lot of money on their equipment. They spend it on the drone. They spend it on actual cameras and other softwares. So they actually spend a lot of money. So in the previous talk, we talked about for a business, especially a brand new business where you're starting, the main point is you need to keep the cost down, right? Because if you don't keep the cost down, that's going to eat into your revenue and your profit. You cannot launch other product anymore because you're running out of cash. So it's important that in the beginning, especially for small business, you need to keep your costs down. Okay. So again, so that's why I stress you have to look at what you already have, the equipment. Send the list to me and we can go from there. Because I can tell you, yes, this will work or this is not going to work. You need to do something else. So take a look at your inventory of what is the hardware and software you already have, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay.
Now, how to make money. So in the beginning, when I watched YouTube for a long period of time, there's actually not a lot of YouTuber out there actually talk up front and very clear of what how do they make money, because this is kind of like a secret they don't want to share. It's like it's kind of like a secret. But I watch a lot of YouTube, so out of a lot of these YouTube clips, I was able to get these information, and also you can Google some of the information. So this is a mix of what I Google, and also after I watch all this YouTube clip, this is what I come up with. So number one for YouTube, when you actually have to start actually making money, number one is you need to have at least 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is the
I
baseline. So
heard
you
that.
have to hit that before you can get money. Now, to me, it's a matter of kind of like when you do investments, it's the timing. So if you start early and build your business early, like you're just doing like putting $1 every day, so that kind of thing, you will hit that number eventually. So the matter is the timing. So the sooner you start with a good content with the target audience, you will hit that number. So there's a couple YouTuber I watch. Literally they start hitting that within 6 months. There are some that hit 6 months. So I'm gonna send you the channel after this session. There was one, but the biggest thing is they didn't go into it as a hobby. They go into it YouTube as a way to make money. That's the biggest difference. So if you just go in and just randomly make videos and you don't care who your target audience is and what you're trying to do and understand the business, it's going to take you a long, long time to get there. But what you need to do is be smart and you know what you need to do. Then that's how you're going to get there. And then, so we have 10 minutes. I'm going to talk about briefly. So affiliate sales and sponsorship. So affiliate sales is, how do I explain it? So there are certain companies. So if you're affiliate with them, they will pay you some money to promote their product. Sponsorship. See, this is a secret. The sponsorship is a lot of this YouTube channel on the top right hand side. They will say this is a sponsored product or this is a sponsored video. It's meaning that this company it's paying the YouTuber X amount of money.
Surfshark VPN.
Yeah, that is one of them. That's why they're paying them for this video. So technically speaking, that content creator is getting the click through. So the people clicking on subscribing and liking the content. And also the Surfshark VPN is paying them money on top of it as well. Okay. So that's why you say you add up to each other, right? And then the next one is channel membership. So this is actually something I'm actually going to do on my channel as well. Because to be honest, what we're doing right now, this content eventually it's going to move under the channel membership. So what that means is because the content is, I put in a lot of effort and time into the research. This is going to be a paid product. So in order for the member to be able to see this exclusive content, they have to pay monthly to get exclusive content. Okay. So there's a price range you can put on it. So usually it's about, I think, we go anywhere from $5 to $20 a month for the members. So not subscribers, but members. So that you have to get to a level where your content is good to be able to do that. So this is kind of the preview what we're going to do, because eventually I'm planning this going to be doing like a YouTube academy where I'm actually going to be teaching people how to set up their YouTube, how to do the video editing and set up the business, right? So instead of the normal people having to spend weeks, months to do all the research and planning, they can learn just by watching the YouTube channels and having one-on-one session with me. They can learn how to do all this. Okay, because timing is the essence. So we talk about the number one. It's about how fast you can get your channel started, how fast you can create those videos, how fast you can upload it. That's how you can start making money. Okay. The nice thing is once you upload it, that video it's a platform, right? So anywhere in the world, people can watch it, they can like it, they can subscribe it and can share it. So you can reach a mass audience. Okay.
Mhm.
And then that product or that video will continue to earn you revenue. That is the biggest thing. That will continue to earn you revenue. So that's the reason why you need to start doing that now. Now there's other things that you can do, which like the merch and the super chat. Those two I am probably not gonna touch because it's just not my expertise. However, that actually is something you might want to consider because I actually think that will actually apply to you. Okay.
Well, if you're live streaming, then maybe you're often get super chat.
Yeah. So you can do super chat and then you have stickers. So we talk about you can design your own stickers and then you can sell them. So those are the ones that you can think about. And then the last one is classes. So
someone is selling classes after getting...
exactly. So for example, you can have a class about teaching your students how to speak English, younger kids. That's something you might want to do. Use the YouTube platform as a way to teach classes, right? So this is actually all the ways. There's more, but this is just on top of the list. This is what you actually can make money with. Okay. Now, potential, you can actually make a lot of money, but of course you have to put some time into it. It's not a hobby. It's actually you have to invest time into it. And we'll go in more detail with it itself. The Excel actually will explain more. Okay. Let me see.
Okay.
All right. So this this is the end of this. So